Hello YouTube community, this is Justin Force, otherwise known as JForce321. And I guess I would just like to start off by saying thank you for everyone who subscribed to me as of recent. I mean, in the last 6 months since the popularity of my Godzilla porn video exploded, I've kind of reached a point where I'm at now. I really don't know what to say to everything at this point because I never really expected to be going for 4 years. And they got the attention of people who I do have now. So, but to be honest, I really don't feel like video editing that much these days, and I have a lot of projects on the side I know people want me to finish, and I'm sorry to say I haven't touched them really in recent memory. But I do have lots of video files lying around that I thought I would just show some people, maybe explain a little bit about why I do what I do, and you know how it works in the grand scheme of my final products. But I just have a video here with Dialect by Revile. It's just a Final Fantasy beta that I thought I would show everyone a little bit of. It's more of just an attempt to create motion blur in Vegas, the Adobe After Effects style motion blur. And it basically shows a good example of how I do my shake style. My shake style is these days it's very intense. It involves a lot of rotation in between frames, and it involves a lot of heavy panning in and panning out. Basically, I use a 3D logic when it comes to doing pan crops, as in I don't think of it as a 2D plane, as I think of it moving in and out in a 3D fashion, which definitely gives you a different logic on how to approach shakes, especially depending on the source you're using. And it just, heavy shakes work really well with Final Fantasy if you know what you're doing, especially like what you see right here. As you will, I will show the final product at the end of all this just so people can get what I'm saying. But so this is just a basic generic Final Fantasy action beta. I basically just took the principle of the shakes and linear blurs that I have here, and I just moved them out through the entire video, and just included a little bit of like chroma keying right here with the codage, and then blended that with some scenes like right here where I zoomed in a image a lot right as his face is zooming out. Just more of a attempt to also be a little bit more Adobe After Effects-ish with my pan crops and such. But it was just an experiment overall, and I think it really helps. And then as I went on, I started thinking more about how to make things interesting, because I was getting really lazy with scene selection and such already. And then as I was looking through effects, I had this idea for a zoom involving a pinch and pull, or pinch and punch, and it kind of just turned into what it did in this video, which really explains a lot of the impact that comes from it. Because as the video is moving along right here, it shows how the image is becoming distorted. And the main part about doing video work is that when you're creating a video, you have to make it visually appealing to people, but you can't always be doing the same stuff all over and over again. So you gotta like mix it up, or you gotta create things that a human eye can't really distinguish at that moment, but it really also messes with the eye, and it sticks out to them, therefore creating a sense of impact. And so as these images are going by, I used the pinch punch to actually create this impact that you're seeing right now. And I just continued to link it as I did the motion, which is another example of what my style is. I call it momentum editing because, like it shows here, it's entirely based off of how the motion is at that very moment. I do cuts based off of that. And then I kind of like the way that Sam described it at one point, otherwise known as Slash. He kind of calls it controlling the uncontrollable, which is kind of a good way of describing it, because I basically do a style that could be considered oversyncing in the worst possible ways, but I actually have very specific ways of going about my video editing that makes it a very controlled style, because there's numerical values and such that I use for frames or how I move my clips sometimes, and then that's just kind of how things blend. But then as I just went through the video, I just kind of kept this little zoom, pinch pull thing I have going on here. Well, pinch push, but it basically just adds a lot of impact to the video overall, because as scenes are going by, like starting out, Cloud's head is very pinched in, and it makes it really weird. But people really can't tell unless they're really examining the video. And basically, I just started linking those together along with the already existing shakes. And then I would just add a little bit of zooms here or there, just for the just to help out with the impact. A good example would probably be the one I have right here after it shows her lifting her head, because it zooms in right on the debris. And then I did a little bit of the pinch effect just to add the impact that was, that wouldn't have been there otherwise, because otherwise it looks a little bit awkward, a little more than it does already. A good but a good way of seeing how it works more specifically is right here as well. I was trying to find clips that zoomed in naturally already with some already existing radial blur, and then I just started distorting them a little bit more, which actually works well with the audio sounds in this too, because it got these little guitar riffs that if you work them with the pinch punch effect as well, it actually syncs very well with them, and you really can't tell unless you're paying attention to all the audio bits in the video as well. And then, so for the most part, I just kept continuing on with my heavy shakes and my motion editing overall, and it just kept going on. And this is more of a section right here I just edited within the last couple hours just to add on, because I was also experimenting with changing dynamics, because the problem with my style in recent memory has been the fact that it doesn't really have much dynamicism to it, and it just kind of blurs together and you really can't feel the impact after a while. So I was trying to experiment with stopping frames at certain points. Like a good example of how to do some pan crop shake work is like right here. The thing is zooming into the next clip right there. It looked very bland and very impactless, but at the last few frames I zoomed it out and then I zoomed right back in using that pinch effect, which actually gives a nice little bit of weirdness to it, to where the human eye gets messed with, and then those zooms in right into the next picture. And then the heavy shakes also help out with that a bit. And then I just started by doing more of my motion editing work. Say at this point I was trying to hit some very fast beats that you'll see as you watch the ending video. And right here I think it worked out pretty decently, where I was just I started out with doing a motion clip, and then I did something that was more still, transitioned to a shake, and then I zoomed in to the part where he was about to rotate his sword, and then here is more of a controlled clip, and then I zoomed straight into his face with a more intense shake. And then I just moved on and did a couple still images to slow down the pacing of the video so I could actually set up for more action. And I just copy and pasted a couple of zooms from the previous sections of the video into here. But a good way of doing some shake work for some intense action is to actually do some still images, because when you do motion images, like most video clips with a high amount of motion, it actually takes away a lot of the impact, and you really can't see as much of the sync as if you would with more still clips. So I just started out by shaking his head, and then this clip has a little bit more motion with the hand moving in, but then after that it's just transitions really quick to Sephiroth moving, and then it's just a more still clip of Cloud, so it kind of helps out with the fact that you get like this change of pacing between clips and the timing and such, to where it actually creates the impact that it does. And then after that it just reaches the end more, where I just copied another one of the old zooms I had and used it as a syncing point for this riff that you got going on here, where it actually works pretty decently. And that's kind of like where I ended off the beta, just so I could have a little bit more to show you guys and explain. But that's pretty much just the end result of this video, and I showed you the entire makeup of it for the most part. So if people want me to, I can do these more often, or I could even do like individual sessions where I could like record off something maybe and show you how to do an effect or something. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with this in the future, but this is probably just going to go on my backup channel anyways, just as an experimental video. But for those of you who stayed around to listen, I hope you found some kind of lesson out of this and have come to understand how I edit a little bit more. But feel free to check out the rest of my videos on my channel if you're a little bit newer, and if you're not, keep on watching, and I appreciate your support.